So I started this thing on Scoops, and I realized I might be able to get longer videos out there on YouTube instead of like 1 minute shorts. And I talk about this. So I have a almost 15-year history career in public safety, and I have about 3 years of college education in criminology. I have survived what some are calling a trafficking event for nearly my whole life. Primarily because my primary traffickers, my parents, sold me out to Brandy Clark, Alicia Haley, Jason Momoa, Lindsay L., Ashley McBride, and a couple other people. They have played some serious fucking head games with me. Again, not accounting for the fact that I had spent about 10 years married to a narcissistic man who was brutally abusive and guilty of domestic violence with strangulation and multiple extramarital affairs. Yes, still technically married to the fucker too. Unfortunately, my financial situation says that I can't fight for custody anymore for my son. What I've got is good enough, apparently. And they sent a Dale Mickelson to remind me of that in the beginning, that eventually my son will come looking for me. And when he does, he's going to find all of this that I have been so painfully open about. But what I wanted to touch on was the fact that I believe with all of my experience, I believe that all of my professional and college experience, again, I was being educated to become an FBI agent myself in a surveillance state for at least 3 years in college. And then at least, I wanted to be an FBI agent since I was like 15, 16. So there's multiple computers with the FBI employment application. The only thing I seem to have been missing was a bachelor's degree, of which I'm going to obtain now through a Christian university. But I'm going to focus on psychology with a minor on Christian studies to become the Christian counselor I've always wanted to be ever since I went to Christian summer camp as a kid, between the ages of like 10 and 12 or something. Maybe it was like 8 and 12. I went for 2 weeks, and I learned what it's like to be a youth leader for a Christian organization, and my peers primarily, and it was beautiful. It was absolutely beautiful for my age. But with all of that said, I do believe it's all of those experiences that led me to be able to report credible tips to the FBI for 5 years, folks. 5 years. I remember within the first year of reporting to the FBI, because it did involve these people invading my son's privacy, who at the time was like 12 or 13. And the DCF caseworker berated me over the phone. Apparently, she was able to reach out to the FBI and was told I had reported 19 times. And that was just within like the first year or two, maybe. Pretty crazy. Pretty crazy. I heard that that's actually kind of unheard of. And so what my goal with this is now to spread that situational awareness and that information to people who could utilize it, okay? First, I want to remind you, you have rights. You have rights. And I had never encountered that side of the criminal justice system before, knowing that victims have rights, because I was never often the victim in that way. I was often the person with the badge that didn't need to be reminded of the average American citizen's rights to then not infringe on them. Once you report a crime, you can then pressure local law enforcement to give you things like a victim status letter, where they specifically state whether or not you are identified as they were confirmed a victim. I did this with Hernando County Sheriff's Department, as some of you can see on my video and my social media profiles. And honestly, it has been the most vindicating piece of paper I have ever received in my life. I imagine I can tell you that it does go far beyond a college acceptance letter or the approval of a new credit card kind of shit. And so whenever somebody starts to call me crazy, I just go, here's that letter. And everybody pretty much shuts up. Pretty much. I didn't get that letter until August 27th of 2025. What makes a credible tip? Dates and times. I was taught in public safety, always carry a notepad with you, because here's the deal for that. Your notepad has to be subpoenaed to be used in court, whereas the report doesn't. And 9 times out of 10, because of that, you get to hold on to your notepad with all of those notes about those scenes or those crimes or those cases that you have to show up to, right? You get to pull that out and refresh your memory whenever you want. So try and write it down. Try and write the dates and times down. Try and be confident in what you hear. You have to understand, I have videos posted to my social media that I will soon begin to post here. Recorded conversations with police dispatch in this very year, August of 2025. Brandy Clark had turned around while I was sleeping on my friend's couch, escaping the domestic violence situation from South Carolina. And she had turned around and got all lovey-dovey and said, if anyone's going to ruin you, it's going to be me sexually. Stay there. And so I'm telling the police dispatcher that, knowing that I gave my name, they know what they can look up, they know who I'm referring to, and they can then go ahead and confirm it on a wiretap, one in which I have proof of actually existing. What does it cover? Any conversation I'm a part of, whether or not I'm in the room, whether or not I'm in the state, whether or not I'm in the country, okay? That's just how fucking deep this shit is. And I've got the court order posted somewhere on my Facebook page publicly that names it explicit, that words it explicitly like that. Ryder, not on the bed. Hey, no, not in the bed. Sorry, my puppy dog cleaning himself on the bed, and he always leaves those wet spots, man. It's gross. It's gross, but puppy's gotta do what a puppy's gotta do. There he is. That's the Ryder. That's the Ryder. But so yeah, write it down. Everything is done electronically, at least with these people. They are not original artists, okay? They have to hack into our electronic devices, our cell phones, our computers, any security surveillance system at home. And that's where they get off boasting about being like Brandy Clark, that champion of the underdog and the downtrodden. She's only like that because she commits a crime to figure out that their underdogs are downtrodden. And then she steals intellectual inspiration and property from people. And that's why she doesn't write anything original. None of her songs, especially in her first album, are anything about her life. And her second album is pretty close to the same thing. Again, see my other videos in which they're tagged to understand that. Where does Jason Momoa come into this? Gang stalking. The honorary Mongol outlaw motorcycle member. Has his own little gang of antisocial fucks, morons, realistically, who run around and do his dirty little bitch work, because he's got no fucking spine and no fucking dick. Just nothing. And more like a fucking, I don't know. But, so they would be used often to terrorize me. I'm gonna go get my other can of nicotine pouches. But so these people, they would come up to me and they would say things, because this was a sick and twisted game meant to just drive me insane so that they can exploit it. Something in which they said two things. They said, Jen, we're not going to stop until somebody wants to murder you just for being you. And in Polk County in Winter Haven, Florida, while I was at work at a gas station, somebody attacked me with a deadly weapon. Also high on meth. And God only knows what else. Is he connected? I don't know. It's a possibility. But so they would take people similar to that individual and they would place them with me in the shelters for abused or homeless women and children, specifically Christian-based ones as well. The Dawn Center in Hernando County and Jericho Road Ministry Shelter. They didn't get anybody in Talbot House. They didn't get anybody in Rockland. And then they got people into Springbrook Institution in Hernando County, where I was unfortunately placed against my will, against any justifiable, lawful reason, and then force-fed medicine that I clinically should not have been on, and medically speaking, might have fucked up my organs a little bit. Definitely caused a seizure. They turned around when I called them out for forcing that medicine down my throat and telling me that if I didn't take it, I wouldn't get out. They then turned around when I called them out for it being a seizure. They said, no, that was just a blood pressure event. So that's interesting, because I remember the last time y'all forced me here, and I told you I didn't want to take trazodone, when my primary care physician noted it increased my blood pressure like NyQuil would, to dangerous levels. They said, we've never heard of that side effect. So, big pharma company, big pharma peddler, like literally boxes named Big Pharma in their medicine closets, doing corrupt bullshit. So, these people in the shelters, they would come up to me and they would say things like, Jane, this one woman by the name of Jane, obviously a fake name, came up and said, whispered in my ear in the back of a van with my cell phone in my pocket, just don't be like your father and everything will be fine. I had another person by the name of Carol Stankinelli. Again, false name. Don't know how they got into the shelter. Can only imagine the level of fucking corruption there. Who apparently had a son into Paw Patrol whose birthday was 7/26. Same as mine. Turns around, we're getting a ride together to go to Mrs. Grout and work for the day, doing some bullshit, right? And she says, remember, this is for my brother, meaning Kelsey Rotino. She was supposed to embody the likeness of Cassidy Rotino, I guess. I'm still not really sure why they put that one there, but they did. Kelsey Rotino, the cousin to Lauren Daigle, the country singer, who has actually worked with probably Ashley McBride, but definitely Brandy Nobal's Come Clark. So, in 2020, it was because of this relationship that I believe the algorithm started exposing me more to Brandy Clark's Instagram, eventually leading to shorthanded conversations that Leisha Haley would take as, quote, flirting underneath the noses of everybody on social media. I can't wait till those come out in court and we get to rip apart Leisha Haley's hypersexual, fucked up little brain. Because I'm just not playing that. But so Carol Stankinelli turns around and says all of that. Then there was Amy Parker. I was trying to get to New Jersey to spend Thanksgiving with my son because I was approved by the court mitigator at the time when I was working for Arapahoe West, RV and Mobile Home Park. And I was I wouldn't say apprentice, but I was definitely, because like I said, I've done enough carpentry long enough to no longer be considered apprentice. I think an apprentice, you have to have at least 4 years of carpentry experience. I have that and a little bit more. So, I got pay stubs that say that too. Check out Ushko Construction. Ryder, quit it. Quit it. Anybody want to help me with dog reactivity to noises? Unfortunately, he's been yelled at, beaten with a broom, Um, somebody tried to drop him off at a pound with a fabricated police report. And I'm training him as my service dog, and my psychiatrist has already said that if I need a letter from her, she would write me one. So, well, yeah. Ryder, quit it. Yeah, hey, you want to be on the video? Say hi, Ryder. Say hi, Ryder. If you're happy and you know it, go out. If you're happy and you know it, go out. But, so, what concept were they playing with in psychology? It's called echoic memory and, was it auditory hallucinations? What that is, I don't know if you've ever been in a social setting and somebody has said something to you and you go, what? And then it replays real quick in your ear and then you respond. That's called echoic memory, right? You're not actually saying, I didn't understand you. Your brain is saying, I need a minute to process. So they thought that they could kind of play around with that. And then drive me crazy to say that I'm hearing voices like a schizophrenic. Again, no clinical diagnosis, and everybody who called me one actually turned around and said, no, nobody actually clinically diagnosed her. It's just our opinion. And now those people have been identified as criminal sex and human traffickers. And it's actually a lot more common than you think. Ask any trafficking victim, ask any sexual assault survivor, any woman who's been sexually assaulted before. It's always, she was promiscuous, it's what she was wearing, it's she has a mental disorder. I mean, I even have videos of a public defender at one point leaving me a voicemail saying that he is really starting to consider the fact that I might have a severe mental condition, just to turn around a few months later and tell me that, you know, he's a fish out of water with sex trafficking stuff, and he apologizes for the delay in civility and acknowledgement. And it was beautiful. It was another beautiful moment. So, shout out to David Bauer with Hernando County Court. Thank you. Shout out to Dr. McLean for telling me that my father is retaliating against me heavily, therefore my quote-unquote paranoia and anxiety are completely legitimate and not abnormal or signs of an underlying condition other than trauma, current trauma. So, Department of Justice, Dr. McLean, thank you. But yeah, guys, so you have to have the confidence to run around and be like, yeah, they're hacking my phone. That blew everybody's mind, every secondary trafficker's mind. Blew every single one of them. How is she going to articulate this, they would say. That became the game. Let's get her so flustered that she can't speak, right? Another infringing of my First Amendment right. If the cops can't do it, then neither can these people and get away with it. So, you know, I started doing all that. I maintained my confidence, and it grew stronger when I got that letter. Because, like I said, I also have text messages from my parents speaking on the same topic. You know, I would ask my mom about the idea of what I'm cooking for dinner, and she would turn around and be like, I'd be like, what are you doing? She'd be like, nothing, just watching TV. And you, while I'm in my bedroom folding laundry. So you can only imagine the level of fuck mind games these people have played that they expected me to succumb to. None by the likes of which I am. But let's get back to the 5 years of reporting credible tips to the FBI and how I did that. Writing things down, situational awareness, keep your head on a swivel. These people will find any information they can about you and your loved ones, and they will taunt you with it. I was in Hudson Beach, Florida, where WFIL 8 was present, doing a special on the odd migration pattern of mullet fish and how they were jumping out of the water because they were so heavily populated. And this individual decided that he was going to walk by in literally exactly the same similar beard I last remember my estranged husband having, about the similar height my son would have been when they left Florida, at my encouraging, by the way, because we were separating for the best of our little family unit. Because again, sometimes it's letting go that actually saves the most people. And so they impersonated him, same weight, same sweatshirt, same style cargo shorts, same sneakers. I guess wanted me to go running around and acting crazy. Made it a point to walk by me. Again, all of this is on camera. All of this can be subpoenaed in a court of law. All of this has already been documented by federal investigators. And I want to remind you, I'm also a victim of police corruption in this. So I do know a little bit about fighting this stuff. And I definitely want to tell you my college education and my work experience, my professional experience did most certainly prepare me for that. I'm a little bit taken aback by how hard it is to actually get the name of the agent assigned to my case before they officially identify me as a victim. I think that is complete bullshit, to be honest with you, and it is definitely a change in the system I might rally behind, if anybody would like to join me. So we all know with the most recent former director of the FBI, that just because you're at that level does not mean you're privy to an anti-corrupt lifestyle. So again, men in power are oftentimes the most corrupt because that's how they got there, you know? What else real quick? One thing my secondary traffickers did state on a fake Instagram profile was to trust my intuition. It's not just trusting your intuition. It's trusting your eyes. It's trusting your sense of smell. It's trusting your sense of taste, because I was poisoned and I tasted the chemical. I was poisoned numerous times before the actual poisoning that led to this, where they removed a significant portion of my small intestines 4 years after I had battled colon cancer, and survived to tell the tale. They were poisoning my food with bodily fluids. Again, you can go to social media, you can see the photographs, they're live photographs. If I pick them back up on my iPhone, you just press and hold, and you will actually see the cup of coffee being poured out and the menstrual clot coming out of the cup. And you'll hear Amy Parker in the background going, "Ew, gross." So the same one who that if I went to Leisha Haley said, if I went to New Jersey to see my son, Leisha Haley said I would be then forced into porn because I'd be going the opposite direction of where the traffickers wanted me to go. So I still said, fuck it. My son is worth every bit of anything I can give right now. And they said, no, we're the pedophile sympathizer. We don't want you to do this. So here we are. There is a working theory with law enforcement that the person at the last house was a gangbanger. What happened at the last house? Well, this is what happened. I was coerced into attempting to cultivate illegal plants in the backyard of this individual's home. because he knew I was a trafficking victim. And he thought that my status would then cover the operation at the house, in which, again, on video, he turns around and says he just wanted to make $1 million operation. So, like a fucking moron, because who runs around and says that shit? When police have literally caught the act in your backyard. They do utilize hidden cameras, because at that last house they were commenting on how I used 2 sheets of toilet paper to wipe my ass, and then noted that in other houses, again, where I've never brought my phone into the bathroom, that there is always an excessive amount of toilet paper used. Again, guys, colon cancer, J pouch, okay? Yeah, I need a significant amount to wipe my ass. Again, another fake Instagram account turns around and says, don't wipe your ass. During COVID, I guess, because it was a joke on how for the average hardworking American that had to, buy a surplus of everything during COVID, toilet paper was actually the most sold out item. Because, a lot of people, when they get sick, especially something that affects your digestive system and all your other organs, you shit your brains out. You shit your fucking brains out. For those of you who had COVID and shit your brains out, welcome to the world of having a J pouch. You are more than welcome to shut the fuck up. Don't worry, it's just the blood of my enemies. One day to be consumed out of their skull. Local law enforcement, almost a near waste of time. Entirely. Yeah. I have not met a single officer of the law who has not been easily manipulated by any abuser of mine. I've got plenty of emails to show you that too. I've got a video on another YouTube account. You just search my name, Jen Pedicini, and it's labeled "What Led to False Arrest." It's also pinned at the top of my Facebook page for everyone to see. So, in that you will hear Teresa Pedophile Frazier say that I'm not a victim. I got my ass beaten, ganged up on because I was quote unquote talking. The very thing they don't want me to be doing at all, ever. And how so many people off the street would be incredibly grateful for everything they've done for me. And I said, yeah, but it's always done with conditions. So, ergo, trafficking. I don't think they have put the proper weight on that video that it so rightly deserves. And that leads me to my next point. So if they're going to utilize hidden cameras, guys, know your consent laws, okay? You want to start recording these people, okay? The second you start recording, you are officially recorded, because in my state of Florida, it is a 2-party consent state. In the state of South Carolina, it is a 1-party consent state. So this right now, because I'm speaking to myself, I know I'm recording myself, is usable in a court of law. Is absolutely usable in a court of law. Start whipping out your phone and recording. I don't care what kind of camera you got. Start whipping it out and recording them, because every time I've interacted with police, every single time, I show them these videos of these fucking idiots, these scumbags doing this shit to me. And the one time I don't, they go, oh, well, do you have that on recording? And that's always the time that I end up getting my civil rights violated. So there is a pattern here in law enforcement and local law enforcement, which is why I say they're completely useless. If you do ever come up against some kind of criminal charge as it relates to sex or human trafficking, even labor trafficking, because that's what happened at the last house. as a labor trafficking victim. I was being exploited and coerced into cultivating, as a slave, illegal narcotics. And I will have you all know, I refused. I blatantly refused. I blatantly reported it. And then I told the fucker I reported it. So, I don't know what else off the top of my head. And this has been about a half hour. I don't want to bore anybody. I am open to questions. I have lots of evidence. I have lots of knowledge that has been doubted for a very long time, even by my primary traffickers. And I would like to end that for them. Because again, I have also posted my proof of my college credits online. So they are definitely delusional because they ignore reality for what it is. But yeah, we're getting there. I'm getting there. Ryder and I are getting there. Also, open communication with your closest friends and family. Okay? You need support. You absolutely need support. Unfortunately, traffickers, the reason what crimes they commit are considered hate crimes once they're identified as trafficking crimes, is because those crimes specifically target vulnerable populations. Anything that can separate you based on race, creed, color, religion, ethnicity, sexual orientation, crime victim status, anything mental health. So, for example, I have clinical PTSD. That was originally just PTSD, now complex PTSD. Well, they tried to utilize that against me in hopes that I would go ahead and unalive myself. And it's not working out in their favor because my reasons to stay alive are a little too strong for them. Understand this. There is a thing called buck breaking, and that is what they do. It's when you have that wild horse and you just got to break them and make them listen. The dominant individual who understands nothing about horses or animals says, okay, big creature, big fist. No. That's what makes it buck breaking in trafficking. So, stay strong. Just stay strong. I also want to let you know too, in my research, because I am disabled as a result of the surgery, I had dry gangrene as well. I also want to let you know too that Brandy Clark turned around and posed a hypothetical question to somebody in the government she was hoping would protect her. And she goes, well, hypothetically, what if she was poisoned? And this individual turns around and goes, you better be thanking God she's still alive. So, stop having empathy for your abusers just because they seem like nice people on their public profiles, on TV, in person. That doesn't mean they're not criminal fucking scum. I'm sick and tired of people supporting these abusers and these criminals because they look like nice people. Lipstick on a piece of shit is still a piece of shit, guys. And that's really what it boils down to. Okay? For example, like Brandy Clark. Take all that makeup off of her that her team paints on so diligently, and she is a raggedy old fucking hag. And so is Leisha Haley. So, ugly on the out is ugly on the in. Ugly on the in is ugly on the out. And lipstick on a piece of shit is still a piece of shit. So, I found a lot of strength in the good word. Something that I have relied on since I was a child. I was born into the Methodist Church, and I will die in the Methodist Church in association with them. I can promise you that. My personal opinion, they practice the golden rule in the book of Matthew. Do unto others as you would have done unto yourself. That is how we practice a religious belief as Methodist. So, Brandy Clark seems to also have a problem with that, I guess. I guess that's where Alicia Haley got off, trying to make me out to be a sex offender myself, because watch out, they will do those things to you. It's like dealing with a narcissist, guys, in an abusive relationship. They accuse you of cheating because that's what they're doing. So, turns out Brandy Clark might have been baptized Methodist and was doing some creepy shit on aisle 13 with an underage person. So, or she was with somebody who was witnessing it all, doing nothing about it. Be careful what you consume. They do have technology in which they can, quote unquote, dub voices in real time. Numerous times they have made blatant statements through music playing, saying my name, speaking something specific to my current surroundings, speaking something specific about my current situation. You know, there are applications. I was told for like $80. Usually it's like some meth head, but these people utilize it just the same, if not higher quality stuff, because, you know, they've got the bankroll to do it and they boast it. These apps, you can be utilized to then hack into your phone and see and hear everything. See your screen, see what you're doing, see that you're right there with it, track your location. I mean, you have to remember, we live in a world where somebody tracked Elon Musk's private jet plane. And he even went out and offered that individual $5,000 to stop. So, I do believe it came from a verified source, but then again, the technology that these people are utilizing is some fucked up shit. They tagged along with my primary traffickers, David Pedophile Frazier, who, as I've said before in other videos, not only is boasted as a war hero in Time magazine in 1983, November, page 24, with the war in Grenada specials. And so with his code writing ability and their technology, you slap the two of them together and they can actually alter what's on your very screen in front of you. I noted this to investigators because in 2020, I want to say it was like August, September, maybe closer to October. I was walking to the store or something and I was looking up purchasing a fidget cube because, again, I also have clinical ADHD, if not a touch of the tisms, says decades ago in elementary school and all the therapy I went through there, occupational therapy. And so I'm looking for this fidget cube again because I can't find my current one in the house. And I know that they're usually under $5. So I start searching, all of a sudden these Amazon ads pop up and a fidget cube's like $4,000 some odd $100, right? $5,000, $8,000, $6,000, $7,000. And I'm like, they're mocking me for my little quirks, my little things I use to maintain the symptoms of having to constantly fucking mask this issue. They would later come out and say, Jen, it was supposed to just look like we were picking on somebody with autism. So, interesting, I would say. Also making it a hate crime. And so I turned around, I saw this happen on my screen, and without even thinking to take a screenshot, I just shook my head like, what the fuck is this shit? And then right before my eyes, it changes to $4, $5 and change, $6 and change, maybe $8 and change. Like I was supposed to just be like, oh, maybe I really am hallucinating. You know, they thought it was going to work, and they thought it would be a funny fucking thing to do. And it wasn't. Because then they would also do those things during state of emergencies. They would then go ahead and mess with the notification system for the National Weather Service during a not so major Florida storm, but a concerning one, apparently. I thought it was funny because in this specific notification. I get, just before I get that notification, I get a text from my parents going, "We're worried, come stay here for the night." That's never happened before. That has absolutely never happened before. My father's theory is, if a Cat 3's hurricane is coming, come with us. We're getting out of here. Other than that, stay where you are. And I mean, I don't want to be housed during a state of emergency in a hurricane with fucking pedophiles and child abusers, you know? These are the same people who have tried to murder me a few times. Blatantly pointing a gun at me and pulling the trigger while high on God only knows what street drug. Strangling me because I said, "Fuck you," and "don't hit my little brother." So, definitely a complex I walked away with too, not being able to help him out of that situation. But he learned how to play mommy's little baby. So, and he's been getting what he wanted ever since. The biggest disgrace of the family, honestly. So, another pedophile in the making, or one who's already been confirmed as a pedophile. So, just working with his pedophile father because he doesn't want to accept the truth. He doesn't want to accept the fact that he has memories of family meetings in which Teresa Frazier, our mother, tells them repeatedly, "Andrew, David, don't leave your sister alone with your father when I'm not here. He's sick in the head." Apparently, he has no recollection of any of that. So, which, again, leads me to say that he is, in fact, also a pedophile himself, and that is not a far-fetched fucking concept, because at least one of the two boys were probably going to become one. And my older brother, David, well, he was already accused and exonerated by a court, by police, by a school, by a lot of people. So yeah, crazy stuff. But yeah, I'm just trying to find the easiest way to get my story out there, and to also help inspire people that might be watching this. I also want to let you know that I've encountered people in jail in 2022 who had similar stories. I reached out to this rapper online, this low-level rapper, and next thing I know, I'm starting to feel like all the music is about me, and these people are coming around, talking weird about it, blah, blah, you know, almost the same exact fucking concept. So, just be careful of who you speak to and about what. Even just a, "Hey, what's up?" could be enough for them to come in and fucking invade your privacy and take over every electronic device you could get your hands on, and then exploit you in vulnerable situations. For me, Brandy Clark and Leisha Haley decided that they were going to hack into me, and eventually I took a shower, not realizing that's what they were doing. And so I was practicing some self-love in the shower, you know. I'm a big introvert. I have my heart is spoken to and for by a woman that just 4 months ago I was, as I was mocked by Brandy Clark for being so close to finally breaking free of that. The shit that made us separate, the police corruption, the sex and human trafficking, all that stuff. This is the same woman who was there when you see that video and I get body slammed to the floor. This is the same woman who didn't think twice about inviting me into her home that night. And then the next morning, if not that night, as I could barely move, like physically barely move, and it's noted in my shoulder now on scans. I have traumatic injuries that were never healed properly. So thank you, Andrew Pedophile Frazier. I will be coming after you for that. I've got access to the scans too, so cool stuff. But she held the glass of water for me, and it was because of this that she like helped me drink it. I could not move. I felt like my back was broken. And the meth muscles on that fucking schizophrenic piece of shit called Andrew Frazier that day, I want to come back with the same, if not double amount of rage. You know? But I'm going to reserve it for the courtroom. I don't know why that little fucker would think that he's privy to any family fucking privilege. Because I have actually reported every single one of my family members, including my older brother. So, sorry guys. Blood is not in fact thicker than water for some. And it's time you learn that lesson. So, get fucked, cunt. Why don't you go suckle off of mommy's titty some more? I think what I do, that's exactly what he does. That is exactly what he does. And it shows in all of his relationships too. Fucking backwoods bullshit relationships where he ends up impregnating multiple women just because mommy and daddy promised me that they would buy a house and hold the mortgage for me and my son so that way they could come over and groom my son for child sex abuse too. So, your DCF of Florida, I would watch out with that one. I could lose custody of my son, Parker and Dominic. And so you should. And so you should. Because the last thing I would do is put my son in the hands, unsupervised hands, of a known pedophile. A known pedophile to me. And to the rest of the family. I guess he also forgot all the times that my grandparents got involved and had to check us for bruises and shit. So, quite interesting. I remember my partner who helped me with the glass of water, checking me for bruises in the same way, a similar way. It was a little more intimate, a little more vulnerable, because we were adults. So, EMT cadet. She busts out the pocket flashlight, check for concussion. So, she goes, well, I might have a mild concussion. Nothing severe. But, yeah, some crazy shit. But I'm gonna tag these fuckers in it, so I hope you guys can all see it. And so you can know what they've been up to for the last couple of years, why they have also been touring to other countries. My favorite part is when they would tour to other countries, and then they would leave me alone. Because they didn't want to be international sex and human traffickers. It would have been so much more sexier if you did. So, get fucked, cunts.